Hello, and welcome to my studio. See, I even have a little mat that says hello when you come in. So, right here at the entrance, this is where I hang up my work apron when I'm not wearing it. And this is also where I hang up my coat. And a little aesthetic in here. And then on this wall, I have some encouragement and inspiration, along with artists that I like. Right now, I have Megan Patrice Riley right there. Then down over here, in this mess, it's a working studio. It's very messy. So, this right here is actually my soldering setup. So I use this little butane torch that covers most of what I need. It's like asbestos-free soldering blocks. I do have the highly toxic HandyFlex that I use for soldering, but I am hopefully in the process of using it up, and then I'll be able to switch to something that's a little bit safer for me to use. Here's my butane. All the fun, dangerous things. Soldering tools. I like to pick solder a lot, just to get the solder exactly where I want it. All kinds of tweezers, occasional pliers if you need to pull something apart. And I tend to get sheet solder, and then I snip it apart and then put it into these little containers. So this I know is my hard, this is my medium solder. That way I can keep it all organized. And let's see what else. I have a bead board for when I need to string beads. A lot of my heavy hammering things are also on this bench. So I have my little leather sandbag, my puny little set of dapping punches. It's like literally two very inconvenient sizes. My disc cutter set, which is actually fairly convenient size-wise. And just incidental things like a fan when it gets too hot. If I need to boil some water, I can do that. The little bitty, itty bitty, but super powerful heater when it's really cold. Signed to my old studio back when I was at the Canal Park Market Village. And then over here is my workbench. And right now it's super bright because I am in the middle of doing some flat lays for display and hopefully some advertisements online. So, and to make things just pretty. So that's what all that is, all this is, and why I have these two bright lights aimed right there. But I thought I'd stop and show you guys around. So this actually came, this piece of railroad tie actually came bolted onto this table, this workbench. I need to, one of these days, angle grind it because it has some paint on it and I can't really use it. But once it is, it'll be a really nice hammering surface. I can get a nice smooth mirror polish on it. Oh, it'll be so sexy. Okay, so this is my little tin that I hide emergency snacks in. In fact, I'm in the process of going for an emergency snack. Here's my small little bench vise. It's really handy to use when I need to hold things completely parallel. And it's also a good size for what I work in. Some more jewelry things that are going to be photographed. Whoop. And this is going to be such a messy video. It's like so. So these sanding blocks are actually from the automotive department of hardware stores, and they work really well, as well as much more expensive. It's like foam sanding blocks for jewelers. and they're a lot easier to get my hands on than ordering online. Okay, over here I have my little Optivisors. So these are for when I'm working on something really small and detailed. I don't have to strain my eyes. It magnifies, but I can only go 8 inches away from what I'm working on, so I have to practically be right on it. Safety goggles, because things fly up into your face and go into your eye. Calendar, haha, now you know when I'm filming this. So these are my handy little ring sizers for when somebody comes and is looking for, we're trying to determine what size ring that I should make for them, or they're looking for. And it's all full and half sizes up to size up to size 15 is how far up it goes. So that lives up there. And then these are my non-digital calipers. They're really good if I'm trying to get specific measurements on things. Files, all my needle files, the ones that I don't use a lot of. And this funny little thing is actually my micro files. And this is both their carrying case and handle. And they live up in here, and then I can chuck them in and out there. These fun little guys that the name is completely eluding me at the moment. I'm sure I'll remember it very inconveniently later. Okay, so scissors. Of course, never know when I'm going to have some paper that I need to cut, so that's there. A couple different rulers that both are in inches and centimeters and millimeters, because even though I'm in the US and we use imperial system with inches a lot for doing jewelry, I do a lot with in millimeters in particular, just because it's the most accurate way for me to measure and be consistent with my measurements. But so I can work in millimeters and centimeters up to 15 centimeters, but after that I'm like, can't think anymore, can't do the calculations. So really handy jewelry designing templates that I got with a jewelry illustration book years ago, and I actually use these a lot more than I've ever used the book. And then I also have a bunch of French curves. These are handy for, especially if I'm working on something larger, like a showpiece or an exhibition piece, to get the angles and curves just right. Plus they have some fun little shapes in them that aren't strictly like for a lot of things. Okay, so that's there. I do have safety masks because, again, things fly up into your face and you don't want to be breathing it in, especially if you're doing either enameling or doing a lot of polishing with your flex shaft, because again, that stuff flies up into your face and you end up breathing it in and it does nasty things to your lungs. Random little tools. This is a handy little thing that I have some scraps in. I think I used to put my drill bits in here. I have glue stick and just some projects that didn't quite work out. Some more measuring equipment, measuring pieces, dividers, calipers, that type of thing. X-Acto knife set, because again, that's really good for doing a lot of wax carving. And then I also have my stone setting tools that are hiding back here. So this is a bezel rocker. So it's like when you're setting a stone, you're literally going back and forth with that. And then I have some burnishers. I like slimline ones a lot. This is a slimline with a curve, just because I work really, really small. So having it's like a small diameter of stones, so smaller ones of these are really helpful. It's also really good for doing kombu. This is a regular size, focus. So this is a regular width burnisher that has seen better days. A couple more slim lines in here. This is a straight slim line. So unlike this one that has a little bit of a curve to it, this is nice and straight. And then this fun little box will come over here. So this is my setting punch set. This is really, really useful for when I'm doing round stones. Let's see if I can get this so it doesn't glare. And I mostly just use 2 or 3 of them because I'm usually setting about a 3mm stone, so I only need like a couple of them. And then it has this little handle that has a chuck in it, and then you can just pick one of these out, put this into here, and then you're good to go. And it's good, you can do a quick change. Yeah, so I use this set quite a bit in my stone setting endeavors. And then, hammers, anesthetic. So this is a plastic pear-shaped mallet. It's really good for getting, if you want to have something slightly curved, but you don't want to really damage, mark up the surface. So that's what that one's good for. And this is a weighted plastic mallet, so it actually has a band of lead set into it somewhere, and it's really good for work hardening without marring up surfaces, and flattening. If I'm really looking to get something really nice and flat, that works. And then I have this cute little wooden mallet that I've had for years. It was given to me, and you can tell I've used it a lot over the years. And then this sweet little rawhide mallet. Again, it was given to me by someone, the same someone who gave me the wooden mallet, and it's really good for just small things, tapping them flat, if I just want to do things gently. And, excuse me, chair. And then I have more fun ones. So these two are actually are called chasing hammers, and if you notice on both of them, they have really big bulbous ends to the handles. Words. I will use them eventually. And then their tops are actually, they taper up and are actually very thin right by the head of the hammer. And that is because they're actually used like this for tapping metal tools really rapidly and chasing repoussé. So they need to have a lot of spring in them, but they're usually made out of a hardwood, like especially a fruit wood, because it has that spring and that hardness. And then the hammer face itself, you have one face that is quite large and round, and this one has a bit of a mirror finish, so you can kind of see my phone in it. And that is the surface that you normally hit the steel tools with. And then the other end tends to have a little bit of, it's more of a ball peen end. And that is if you're trying to do some chasing repoussé, the theory is that you actually get to tap in there. It doesn't really work that way. And this one, I've actually need to clean it up a bit, but I usually use it more for planishing. And this one I use more for hitting tools, so that you can kind of tell by the way that the face is. Then I have a little bitty goldsmith's hammer. So this is a good all-purpose hammer. Can do riveting, I can do light forging, I can do hammer textures on it with it. It's a very good general purpose hammer. And then I have a small but mighty forging hammer, because again, I don't have a huge setup, so I don't need, and I don't work with really big metal, so I don't need a huge forging hammer. So this is a nice small light one that I can use for that. And then somebody else gave me this really big, nice, heavy ball peen hammer. That it's seen better days, but one of these days I can clean it up and do some magic with it. And then this cute little guy I actually picked up at a antique store nearby. And it's a little mallet. It has a brass head on one side, and then it has a old rubber head on the other side, and you can just tap, 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 tap. And the faces of the heads actually unscrew, so you can replace them if I can find anything that I can replace them with. Okay, and then here I have most of my pliers that I use, along with my bench tweezers. So these I use for just manipulating things around. Like, boop, 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 boop. And it's useful if I'm trying to pick up really, really small jump rings and other small things and move them around without going crazy. So these pliers are the ones that I use the most. So I have chain nose, I have my snips, I have flat nose, I have round nose, and then I have the angled chain nose. And so I use these guys in conjunction with the regular chain nose for opening and closing jump rings. And up here are the ones the pliers I don't use as much, but are still handy to have, especially these that have the plastic surface on them. They're really good if I don't want to be messing up things. And the other things I have around a lot of them are actual materials. There's my jeweler's saw. There's some wire for making things, masking tape. You don't know how useful that is. My flex shaft motor, my pickle pot, and quench pot, my little wooden forming block, so it has indents of different sizes for making round domes. Then other sides it has ridges on it for making angles. And this is my number and letter punch set, 3mm. Burrs, wax for when I'm sawing and using burrs. More burrs are back here. Stones. You don't need to look at the stones quite right now. So whoop. And then over here is more of my office area, what I use for my office. So I have this mirrored thing. Hi. And this box is here because I got all these lovely boxes for placing jewelry in, and that is mostly what that is. And then these two things here, are storage, more storage and aesthetics. And then over here are most of my books and some more storage, like beads that people have given me over the years that I haven't quite figured out what to do with them, stringing material, feathers and other supplies for making awesome awesome things that I wear on my hat and make for other people that they can wear. So these are my tech books, most of my tech books, and here are just a few of my design books. Most of them are actually at home right now because quarantine is happening, so I wanted them at home. And yeah, that is pretty much my messy studio because I work in here. So I will see you later. Bye.